All right. Hey, this is for all the hardcore runners, cross-country people who did a great job against St. Paul's, um, or I hope they're going to. We got the thing running. We had to actually, the video kind of ran out of time, so I had to kind of make a second video here. But let me show you what you need to do to wrap it up. You can see what we're looking for. We're looking for a cycling character. So it keeps coming, goes off screen, eventually it'll come back and we can do different things to it and things like that. Okay. But one of the things that we noticed that happened was there was a little bit of a problem because when it comes time to move the character, okay, you run into trouble because to um, you need to make you need to find out the size of the frame, and that's a big problem because of kind of this. This is a sort of an object-oriented um, thing. Let me show you here. What's going on is that we're in this when running the character. The character kind of runs in this um, part of the program, right? And what it has is it's running this thing called Move Me. Okay. And the thing is that when the character gets to the edge of the screen, um, it needs to be able to uh, get to, I don't know why it's doing that. It needs to be able to find out like the size of the frame. The object that knows the size of the frame is JFrame. JFrame knows frame width and frame height. But basically, horizontal character, which is a child of character, doesn't have any ability to find out anything about the frame. That's the thing. So what we had to do is we had to program some ability. There's this issue of getting access to the frame and getting information from that. Okay, and that's what we worked on after we talked to you guys. So what we did was we did a couple of things. One, we went into the frame. Okay, so we went to Flap v2 frame. Okay, and I added two accessor functions, which you're going to have to add. Okay. So you're going to have to add my frame width, which returns f width. There are these two variables that frame needs to kind of divulge, okay? And these have been indicated as private. And we went through in class and actually marked all these private too. So you want to do that. But there are these two variables that need to get access, okay? So what I do is I made these two accessor frames. You just have to type them. You have to type public int get my frame width, and it's going to return f width. So type it right now. Take a second and type it. The second thing you need to do is add another one called public get my frame height. Okay, and it's going to return the frame height. Okay, we're going to use this later. Really, all we need is this one right now, but we need them to be there. Okay, so what has to happen is the frame object. Okay, looking at this, the frame object needs to make available the f width and f height variables. Okay, that's what's sort of happening here. Okay, let me go back to Eclipse. Okay, so that's the first thing we did. Okay, so do that and make sure it happens, and it happens in Flap v2 frame. Okay, where you have these two variables, f width and f height, and now you're going to make them publicly accessible through an accessor function. Okay, or accessor method. Okay. So that's the first thing we did, okay? The second thing we need to do is add some stuff to character. We thought in class that it was the best thing to do to have the characters know what frame they belong to. So in character, we added a thing called frame link, okay? And it allows the character to hold a link to the frame, okay? This is Flap v2 frame. And this is Flap v2 as a variable now, and it's called frame link. So we added this frame link, okay? Has to be done. Okay, so after we add that, then because character is a different entity than the horizontal character, we had to add some things to allow a horizontal character to see what frame he or she is in. So we added public void set my frame, which allows somebody to kind of set this variable, okay? And then we allowed this one called public void get my frame, okay? So what it does is it returns the frame link. So you need to type public void set my frame, Flap v2 frame f, and then you need to make this other function called public flap v2 frame get my frame. Okay, so this is a way to kind of set and get. These are accessor functions for the frame thing. Methods for setting and getting a frame link. Okay, so it allows the character or the horizontal character to kind of find out information from the frame through this kind of link. This is how we're going to set up communication. Okay, you're also going to need these get character height and widths. Okay, which we put into. Okay, so these are important and they are in character. So we did something in flap v2 frame, we did something in character, and now we're going to work with these in horizontal character. Okay, so if you go to the horizontal character, what we did was we set, like what happens is you find out every time you move the character, you find out if the character's gone past 0, which means it's gone past this part of the frame. Okay, and we added this little bit to get the character fully off the frame. I even added 10 extra pixels. Then what we do is if it's over here, we need to set it so it's over here at the edge over here. We need to set the x coordinate so it shows up over here, which is at the farthest point of the frame. So I need to go this, set my x loc, and then inside here I have to go this, get my frame, which is something we just programmed this, get frame width, okay, and then we're going to go get the character width. So it's going to be this business here plus get character width, okay, and then to re-show the to actually move the character, you have to go set location. So these things in your program might also be called different things. They would be called get xloc, okay? I forget how we did it, but when I typed this at one point, I called them get my xloc. So these might be called something different. You have to sort of check your program. And where you're checking is, you're checking over in character, okay? So you're looking in character and see how mine says get my xloc, get my yloc. That's what you have to put. Okay, so whatever you have over there, that's what you're gonna add. Okay, so if it's called xloc, if it's called get my bubby blubba xloc, then you're gonna call get my bubby blubba xloc over here. There has to be one correspondence to that. Okay, so that's good. And then the last thing you need to do, the final thing, is that you need to have the when you make the character, you need to kind of call this set frame setup thing, okay? And that happens again in flap 2 frame, okay? And what's going on in flap 2 frame is you are creating these characters. So you create a Flappy Bird, you set the Flappy Bird at center, and then right after that, this is the new thing, okay? This is important. You're going to add this one line. It's going to say Flappy, set my frame to this. So now the Flappy Bird knows what frame he or she is on, okay? And then for the other character, you do the exact same thing. We have a kind of a separate thing to set the right edge or whatever, but then you're going to use this character here. This is also important to add. So you want to do that, okay? You want to set that up and you say other characters set my frame to this, and then what's going to happen is it's going to work, okay? And what happens here is we do this and you get the cycling character. So it'll cycle, it's good, and you want the little this guy to jump, and that's good, so it's going to work. And that's it, okay? So give that a whirl, and I'll talk to you later.